Hey everybody, this is Joe from the Northeastern Native Plant Digest, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite plants and one of the tallest plants in my native plant garden, the compass plant. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. So I thought I'd come out here today and do a video on a plant that I've planted several years ago. Totally fallen in love with it. This is a plant that I've wanted for a long time. I finally got around to plant one a few years ago, and it's really taken off here in my front native wildlife habitat garden. So this is a compass plant. It's Silphium laciniatum. It gets its name traditionally from the fact that settlers thought when they were going across the prairie that this plant would orient its leaves from north to south. So they figured they could use that as a rough guideline in which direction they were going. And these plants do seem to orient themselves in full sun, and they do this in order to get as much sunlight as they possibly can. Uh, this has very deeply lobed leaves that go all the way down to the base. These leaves on the front side are fairly smooth, but on the back side, they're very rough. They actually feel like sandpaper. There's a couple great things that I like about this plant. For one, this is a very long-lived perennial. It can live typically up to 100 years. It develops a massive root system, a taproot that goes down up to 10 to 15 feet deep. So it pulls up a lot of minerals that a lot of plants that don't have those kind of deep roots can't access. And then when this dies, those minerals will kind of become available as this thing decomposes in the soil. So this is a very tall plant. This is an impact statement plant. You can put the, this, typically you see people, they plant their plants in the back of the garden, tall plants especially, but I have this one kind of right front and center in the front of my garden. You can see how tall the leaves are. This thing's at least, I would say, maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall. It is in bloom. It just started blooming. I'm going to try and get a shot. You can see the stalks up here can reach up to 15 feet tall. They're in the aster family and the daisy family, sunflower family. So you see they get a wonderful uh, sunflower kind of compound, a beautiful yellow flower there. It attracts a lot of long-tongued bees, a lot of butterflies like this. When this flower, there's a bee on it right now, a small bee on it. Um, Another thing that makes this a wonderful addition to a wildlife garden is that goldfinches and pine siskins and other native sparrows will actually eat the seeds off of these. So that's another plus. You can see all the blooms coming on this. This is typically going to bloom from July through September. So how could you use this plant? You could use this in the back of a plant. If you wanted to, uh, you know, have a dramatic accent plant in the back of your plant, you can plant this out in the, if you had a field or you had some acreage and you wanted to kind of get a little native prairie going, you could plant it in that. This thing, it is native to Ohio, although it's not widespread in Ohio. I'll show you the map here of where its typical range is. This is very common in the old prairies. This pairs well with giant blue stem. I actually have some prairie dock mixed in here too. And I apologize if you can hear this truck. I'm actually just kind of upgraded my audio system. Before I was using the microphone on my phone, so I just got this wireless system, and I think it's helping filter out some of these background noises. And if you didn't hear that truck pull in, I'd love to hear that in the comments just to get a confirmation that this thing's working. Now, when I first planted this, I had also already planted some prairie dock, and I'm not going to get too much into this right now, but this is another big prairie perennial, and I might do a video on it when this thing does send up some blooms, but I didn't think this had made it, so I planted this compass plant here, but actually they both made it. So this thing is very drought tolerant because of the extensive root system, but if you do plant a new compass plant, you are going to want to water it until it gets established. Once it's established, you'll never have to water or fertilize this plant. That being said, another thing that I recently found out about this is that apparently there's a resin in these stems that can act as a natural substitute for gum. And a lot of the various Indian tribes that were very associated with this plant and had a long history with this plant would actually use this for different medicinal reasons. There are some moth species that use this as a host plant. Couldn't find much information on them. They're Eucosma moths, I believe they're called. There was like a giant one and a two-spotted one. I was trying to find some images online to see if I could show some of those, but really didn't have a whole lot of luck of finding an image that I could use on YouTube without getting my account flagged. So, if you put it in your favorite search engine, you should be able to pull up some images on that. But again, this is a very impactful plant. It's a wonderful addition to a native plant garden. You can see I got some rattlesnake master. It does nice with rattlesnake master. I'm going to do a video on this soon, and you can just look at the impact of that. This is a very large plant, but it's a very important plant and a very useful plant. So, if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for something that's going to make a statement, I would definitely think about compass plant. You'd be surprised where it might fit in your landscape, and you're going to look at look at how tall those blooms are. I mean, those things are incredible. It's just an amazing plant. It's a fun plant. It's always a conversation piece too. People are like, "What is that?" And you can just kind of go into it and tell them about it, and hopefully pique their interests and get other people interested in the wonderful world of native plant gardening and pollinator gardening. And with that, I'm going to leave you today. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Once again, I just want to thank everybody for all the positive feedback that I've received on this channel over the years and all the subscribers. Share and like this video. I really appreciate it. We can get the word out, man. You can change the environment 1 yard at a time. And I know from the feedback that I've gotten from this channel that it is making a difference. When you start planting native plants, you start seeing the wildlife coming back into your yard, the bees, the butterflies. I mean, I've seen bluebirds coming in by all kinds of bluebirds. Um, I planted that serviceberry tree. I need to do a video on that. But we get the cedar waxwings now every year. They come for that, and I actually planted 2 more serviceberries in my tree. They're little right now, but I'm excited to see them grow up. Anyway, thanks again for the support, and appreciate it. Again, have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.